From the dawn of time, humankind has gazed into the unknown with equal parts curiosity and fear. Every culture has its legends of vanished ships, monstrous whispers, and cities swallowed by waves. Our world is mapped and measured, yet the oceans still hold secrets darker than any night sky. In the next hour, we'll embark on a cinematic voyage plunging through ink-black trenches, past mirages, and glowing seas to confront mysteries that defy explanation. Prepare yourself. The ocean's deepest stories aren't fairy tales. They're clues to a world we barely understand, and we're just beginning to listen. The Bermuda Triangle mystery. They whisper about a place where compasses spin and engines fail without warning, where vessels cross a line in the blue and seem to fall off the map. That patch of ocean is nicknamed the Bermuda Triangle, and the very words conjure disappearances, distress calls, and unanswered questions. Stretching roughly 500,000 square miles between the tip of Florida, the island of Bermuda, and the archipelago of Puerto Rico, it has been on maritime charts since the early 20th century. Sailors trace its vertices like a curse. Pilots fly over it with a glance at their altimeter. Beneath the sky, it looks like any other expanse of Atlantic water. Whitecaps glitter, clouds gather on the horizon, frigate birds wheel overhead. Yet since steamships first churned through these lanes, stories have filtered back of craft that entered the zone and vanished. In March 1918, the USS Cyclops, a U.S. Navy collier carrying more than 300 crew and passengers, radioed nothing as she passed through the triangle. She never arrived in Baltimore. Searches found no debris, no oil slick, no distress flags. For families waiting on shore, the grief was compounded by the absence of evidence. Other ships, smaller and larger, would share her fate. Planes on routine flights would fail to respond and simply not arrive. To understand why the Triangle gained its ominous reputation, you have to know how busy these waters are. The Gulf Stream, a swift, warm current moving like a conveyor belt, passes directly through this region. Its currents can carry floating objects miles and hours. Storms brew quickly where tropical air masses collide, and summer hurricanes roar up from the Caribbean. Even the U.S. Coast Guard, which monitors maritime accidents and rescues, notes that this is one of the most trafficked shipping corridors on Earth. In statistical terms, more incidents occur here because more vessels pass through. Officials point out that reported compass anomalies are small variations caused by shifting magnetic declination, not evidence of a supernatural vortex. Many disappearances, they argue, can be traced to weather, human error, mechanical failure, or a combination of all three. And yet the unanswered cases leave space for speculation. Writers have filled that space with theories as wild as our imaginations. Some point to pockets of methane hydrates trapped beneath the seabed that could belch gas, reduce water density, and drag ships down. Others suspect electromagnetic interference from anomalies in the Earth's magnetic field. There are whispers about underwater volcanoes, rogue waves towering out of a calm sea, whirlpools created by the confluence of currents. A few even suggest extraterrestrial involvement or portals to other dimensions. None of these ideas has been substantiated, but they persist because mysteries invite explanations, and the Triangle's mythology has been fed by decades of sensational stories. What is certain is that when a vessel is lost at sea, clues are hard to come by. The ocean is vast and deep, and storms do not leave neat debris fields. That emptiness is fertile ground for legends. The Bermuda Triangle endures in popular culture not because of a proven phenomenon, but because it captures the tension between our mastery of navigation and our vulnerability to nature. Standing on a vessel's deck, as fog closes around the bow, you can understand why sailors still speak of a cursed corner. Whether the disappearances are coincidence or symptom of something we have yet to identify remains an open question, and until we have every answer, the triangle will continue to haunt our maps and our imaginations. The abyss of the Mariana Trench. Beneath the restless surface of the Pacific, there is a chasm so deep that sunlight cannot reach its bottom, a realm untouched by any human hand. The Mariana Trench stretches nearly 1,600 miles across the seafloor east of the Philippines, and at its deepest point, the Challenger Deep, it plunges more than 36,000 feet deeper than any mountain on Earth is tall. This is the ultimate frontier, a place where pressure would crush a submarine like an empty can, and temperatures hover just above freezing. No other place on the planet feels so utterly alien or so fiercely guarded by nature. The trench was first discovered in 1875, when a British naval ship, the HMS Challenger, lowered a weighted rope overboard and found that it took longer than anyone expected to hit bottom. But even now, more than a century and a half later, the trench remains almost entirely unexplored. Only a handful of people have ever reached the Challenger Deep. They descended in specially designed submersibles, risking everything to see a world that is still mostly hidden from science. What they found defied expectations. Strange creatures glowing in the dark, bizarre forms of life that survive on chemicals instead of sunlight, and landscapes shaped by colossal tectonic forces. For decades, the trench has been a magnet for scientific speculation and for wild theories. Some imagine giant monsters lurking in the gloom, relics of prehistoric eras when marine reptiles ruled the oceans. Others suggest the pressure and darkness have created life unlike anything seen on the surface, a genetic library untouched by time. And there are mysteries even more troubling, occasional metallic sounds recorded from the deep, unexplained pulses of energy, and the possibility that enormous earthquakes begin in its hidden folds. Yet the real discoveries are no less astonishing than the legends. In recent years, deep-diving robots have photographed amphipods, tiny crustaceans living miles below the surface, and scientists have found bacteria that thrive in the most extreme conditions known to biology. Pieces of plastic trash have been found at the trench's very bottom, a haunting reminder that even Earth's most remote corners are not beyond human reach. Still, the trench refuses to give up all its secrets. Each expedition uncovers new questions. How do creatures survive such pressure? What tectonic events shape the landscape down there? Could life exist in even stranger forms? The Mariana Trench is not just a hole in the ocean floor, it is a window into the unknown, a reminder that as much as we learn, there is always more waiting in the darkness. And as we push deeper, we have to wonder, what will we find next, and are we truly ready to face it? The mirage of the deep, Fata Morgana and ocean phantoms. Out on the open sea, where the horizon blurs and reality bends, sailors sometimes glimpse visions that defy explanation. Imagine a ship rising upside down above the waves, or a distant coastline floating high in the air, shimmering and shifting like something from a dream. This isn't a ghost story, but a rare phenomenon called Fata Morgana, a kind of optical illusion so powerful it can turn the ocean into a theater of impossible sights. The legend of Fata Morgana dates back centuries, named for Morgan Le Fay, the sorceress of Arthurian myth, who was said to conjure castles in the mist. But in the age of exploration, it was sailors and explorers who feared these visions most. They told tales of phantom islands, ships that sailed on clouds, and monstrous shapes lurking at the edge of vision. In some cases, Fata Morgana has lured ships off course, making landfall appear closer or farther than it truly is. Science now understands that Fata Morgana is caused by layers of air at different temperatures, what meteorologists call a thermal inversion. When warm air sits atop a layer of much colder air near the water's surface, It bends light rays in strange ways, magnifying and stretching objects at the horizon until they seem to float or distort. The effect is fleeting, changing from minute to minute, making islands seem to hover, ships to double, and even icebergs to stretch into fantastic towers. But not every vision can be explained so neatly. Over the years, mariners have reported things that no simple mirage can account for: cities glittering on the horizon that vanish in the blink of an eye, ghost ships appearing where none should be, and even landscapes that don't match any known map. The boundary between science and superstition grows thin on long, lonely voyages. Some researchers wonder if unusual atmospheric conditions might be responsible for famous mysteries like the Flying Dutchman, or entire islands marked on charts that later proved not to exist. Fata Morgana reminds us how easily the senses can be fooled by nature's sleight of hand. But it also hints at deeper mysteries. What other tricks might the ocean and sky conspire to play? If a simple shift in temperature can conjure visions from thin air, what might still be waiting just out of sight on the world's most unpredictable stage, out at sea? Sometimes you can't trust your own eyes, and that perhaps is the greatest mystery of all. The Baltic Sea anomaly. The sunken mystery. Somewhere between Sweden and Finland, on the dark cold floor of the Baltic Sea, lies a shape that should not exist. It was the summer of 2011 when a team of Swedish treasure hunters scanning the seabed with sonar stumbled upon something extraordinary, a massive disc-shaped object nearly 60 meters wide, resting more than 90 meters below the surface. The world would come to know it as the Baltic Sea anomaly, a discovery that set off a wave of speculation, awe, and more than a little fear. The sonar image was unmistakable, a circular formation with sharp edges and what looked like long, unnatural grooves. Even more bizarre, there appeared to be a ramp or staircase leading up one side, and strange marks trailing behind it, almost as if the object had skidded along the seafloor before coming to rest. The treasure hunters described interference with their electronics and cameras whenever they approached, heightening the sense that this was no ordinary wreck. The news spread quickly. Was this a crashed UFO, a forgotten Nazi structure? The petrified ruins of an ancient civilization lost beneath the waves. Oceanic, the team that found it, sent divers down to investigate. They returned with stories of a rough stone surface scorched as if by extreme heat, and even more questions. Geologists and oceanographers weighed in many, suggesting it was nothing more than an unusual but natural rock formation, perhaps shaped by glaciers during the last ice age. Some proposed it could be a rare kind of basalt formation, while skeptics pointed out that sonar images can often mislead, transforming the ordinary into the extraordinary. But others aren't so sure. The anomaly remains unlike anything else mapped on the Baltic floor. Its sheer symmetry and the strange disturbances recorded by the team continue to fuel theories. Some believe it could be the remains of an ancient man-made structure, now eroded and hidden by centuries of sediment. A few even claim it might be the fossilized remains of a giant sea creature lost to time. What lies beneath the cold waters is still unknown. Despite multiple dives and intense public curiosity, no one has offered a definitive explanation. The Baltic Sea anomaly sits at the edge of science and imagination, a silent challenge to our understanding of history, geology, and even our own planet. Will we ever know the truth, or will it remain just out of reach, a shadow on the sonar, and a riddle for a new generation of explorers? The vanishing of the submarine, 1968's Ghost Fleet. In a single chilling year, the world's oceans swallowed 4 submarines from 4 different nations, each lost with all hands, each disappearance wrapped in layers of secrecy and confusion. The year was 1968, and the Cold War was at its height. Nuclear-powered vessels from the United States, the Soviet Union, France, and Israel all vanished beneath the waves within months of each other, leaving behind only rumors, coded transmissions, and questions no navy could answer. It began with the Israeli submarine INS Dakar sailing from the UK to Israel. Dakar's last message was a routine position report in the Mediterranean, then silence. No distress call, no debris. Weeks later, France's Minerve, a diesel-electric sub, vanished off the coast of Toulon. Again, no warning, no trace. In March, the Soviet K-129 disappeared in the vast Pacific. And by May, the U.S. Navy's USS Scorpion failed to return home. Each incident seemed unique, different seas, different circumstances, but the coincidence was impossible to ignore. As the news broke, theories ran wild. Was it sabotage, secret underwater combat, or some terrible flaw shared by Cold War submarines? Governments launched desperate searches, sending out ships, planes, and classified deep-sea missions. In some cases, small clues surfaced years later. A fragment of hull, a radio signal, the remains of a shattered vessel found miles below the surface. The U.S. undertook the clandestine Project Azorian to recover parts of the Soviet sub, while Dakar's wreck would not be found until 1999 on the seafloor off Crete. Experts have pieced together likely causes: mechanical failures, sudden flooding, even accidental torpedo explosions. Yet the timing of the tragedies and the mystery shrouding each investigation left the world unsettled. Submarines are by their nature designed to operate unseen, slipping through the ocean's shadowy depths on missions known only to a handful of commanders. When they disappear, they leave almost nothing behind. For the families, the unanswered questions haunt every remembrance. And for the rest of us, these lost vessels are a stark reminder that even the most advanced technology can vanish without a trace in the deep. Decades later, the 1968 Ghost Fleet still stirs theories. And suspicion: was it coincidence, silent warfare, or something else altogether? Until the ocean yields every secret, some stories will stay locked away deeper than any grave. The ghosts of the Gulf. Sonar shadows and lost shipwrecks. In the restless waters of the Gulf of Mexico, thousands of ships have sailed, vanished, and been forgotten. But every so often, new technology reveals secrets the ocean thought it had buried for good. In recent years, sonar scans have painted a strange portrait. Beneath the waves, outlines of ships no one remembered resting on the muddy floor, sometimes perfectly preserved, sometimes split and scattered, as if by some unseen hand. The Gulf is a graveyard. Hurricanes shifting sandbars, sudden squalls, all have claimed vessels over centuries, from Spanish galleons to modern tankers. Oil companies searching for new drilling sites have become accidental historians, sweeping vast swaths of seafloor with powerful sonar. What they've found is astonishing: hundreds of wrecks, some centuries old, others modern, all silent witnesses to disaster. Occasionally, sonar images reveal things that shouldn't be there: shapes without records, shadows that match no known ship, and structures with odd geometric patterns. One of the most baffling discoveries was a massive iron-hulled wreck found lying upright and nearly intact, a ghostly echo of 19th century engineering. The ship had no name on the manifest, no known voyage, and no survivor's tale. Even stranger, nearby sonar sweeps turned up other phantom objects: twisted metal circles of stone, and even mysterious mounds that some say look less like shipwrecks and more like ancient altars or lost cargo. Marine archaeologists debate these finds fiercely. Some argue that odd sonar returns are simply misreadings, artifacts of technology, fish schools or underwater debris creating illusions of sunken wonders. Others insist the Gulf holds more than just human wreckage, hinting at prehistoric structures or meteorite impacts that could have left unnatural marks on the seabed. For the crews who discover them, these images are both thrilling and unsettling. Each blurry outline on the sonar screen is a riddle, inviting divers and historians to investigate, map, and maybe rewrite the story of the Gulf. Yet, for every mystery solved, a dozen remain. Why are so many wrecks unclaimed, their names lost to time? What storms or secrets sent them to the bottom? Even with our most advanced tools, the ocean's depths remain stubbornly secretive. The Gulf's sonar shadows remind us beneath the waves, history is still being written one ghostly echo at a time. The Devil's Sea Dragon's Triangle of the Pacific. Half a world away from the Bermuda Triangle lies another stretch of ocean, with a reputation just as chilling. The Japanese call it Ma no Umi, the Devil's Sea, or the Dragon's Triangle, a vast patch of water off the coast of Japan. Where ships and planes have vanished, compasses have spun wildly, and strange lights have flickered beneath the waves. Like its Atlantic cousin, the Devil's Sea sits at the crossroads of legend and real tragedy. For centuries, Japanese fishermen and sailors have told stories of boats disappearing without a trace, swallowed by mists, or pulled under by forces unseen. Some tales go back hundreds of years, describing ghostly ships and monstrous sea creatures. But in modern times, the legend grew darker. Between 1952 and 1954, 9 vessels reportedly vanished here, including the research ship Kaio Maru No. 5, which disappeared while investigating earlier losses. Not a single crew member was found. The Japanese government declared the area too dangerous for travel, fueling the fire of mysteryencyclopedia.com. Scientists have tried to explain the phenomena. The Devil's Sea sits along a major tectonic fault where earthquakes and underwater volcanoes are common. Sudden eruptions can send massive bubbles of gas rising to the surface, sinking vessels in seconds. Shifting magnetic fields may play tricks on navigation, confusing even the most experienced captains. The powerful Kuroshio current sweeps through the region, stirring up whirlpools and unpredictable storms. Some researchers point out that, as with the Bermuda Triangle, this is one of the world's busiest shipping routes. More ships mean more accidents, some tragic, most explainable. Yet, there are mysteries that resist simple answers. Strange lights have been reported under the water at night, sometimes bright enough to silhouette passing ships. Fishermen tell of compasses spinning without warning, and radios going dead for hours at a time. Tales circulate about underwater ruins and even pyramids supposedly glimpsed by divers. Fringe theorists whisper about time warps, alien bases, and portals to other worlds. The truth may be a tangled knot of nature, chance, and human fear. But as long as vessels ply these waters and old stories are retold in waterfront bars, the Devil's Sea will keep its reputation. It stands as a reminder in certain places the line between fact and folklore is as thin as a shadow on the waves, and the Pacific still guards secrets that science has yet to explain. Sail here if you dare, but don't expect every journey to have a clear ending. The Waratah, the Titanic of the South. In July 1909, a passenger steamship known as the Waratah set out from Durban, South Africa, bound for Cape Town. She was called the Titanic of the Southern Seas, a 500-foot-long marvel with room for more than 200 passengers and crew. Families waved from the docks. Her future looked as bright as her gleaming hull. But somewhere along that wild, unpredictable coast, the Waratah vanished. Not a single lifeboat, no distress call, not even a piece of driftwood was ever found. The Waratah's final voyage has haunted maritime history for over a century. She sailed into rough seas after leaving Durban, sighted once more by another vessel, and then disappeared completely. Search ships scoured the coast. Aircraft flew over the restless Indian Ocean. Weeks passed and hope faded. The official investigation offered few clues. Some speculated that the Waratah was hit by a rogue wave, a wall of water rising from the deep to crush even the mightiest ship. Others pointed to shifting cargo or a sudden capsize in a fierce storm. The ship's design itself came under scrutiny. Some wondered if she was too top-heavy, too ambitious for her own good. But theories and rumors multiplied as the years went by. Some insisted the ship had run aground on a hidden sandbank, its bones now buried beneath silt. Others whispered of underwater earthquakes or magnetic anomalies that might have played a role. The strangest stories suggested supernatural forces, a cursed voyage, or a mysterious hole in the ocean that swallows ships whole. Despite modern sonar and underwater exploration, no trace of the Waratah has ever been found. In a world where almost every inch of coastline can be mapped, the total disappearance of a ship this size remains astonishing. For the families left behind, the lack of closure was its own kind of tragedy, a century-old wound that never fully healed. The Waratah endures as both a warning and a mystery, even in the age of steam and steel. The sea keeps secrets well. Was it nature, human error, or something stranger that doomed the Titanic of the South? Until evidence emerges from the silent depths, the Waratah remains a ghost. One more riddle drifting on the restless waters of history. The twilight zone, where life hides in the dark. Beneath the sunlit surface of the world's oceans lies a vast shadowy realm few have ever seen. Scientists call it the twilight zone, the mesopelagic layer stretching from about 200 to 1,000 meters deep. Here light fades and the blue water gives way to cold, perpetual dusk. This layer isn't just a mysterious border. It's the greatest hidden wilderness on our planet. For decades, people believed these waters were almost empty, too dark and pressurized to support much life. But in recent years, research has shattered that notion. Using new sonar and deep-diving technologies, scientists have discovered that the twilight zone teems with life, perhaps 10 times more fish than previously estimated techtimes.com. Most are small silver-bodied creatures like lanternfish, bristlemouths, and hatchetfish darting up and down with the day-night cycle. These fish form immense shimmering clouds so dense they can look like the seafloor on sonar. But the true marvel of the twilight zone is its strangeness. Some residents make their own light, flashing blue or green in the darkness to attract prey or ward off hunters. Giant siphonophores, jelly-like creatures that can stretch 150 feet long, drift like underwater phantoms. At certain times, entire armies of deep-sea animals migrate to the surface to feed, creating the largest animal migration on Earth, all hidden from human eyes. Despite these discoveries, the twilight zone remains a puzzle. How do these fish survive with so little light or food? How do they cope with pressures dozens of times greater than at the surface? What secrets do they hold about Earth's climate, since their daily migrations help move carbon from the surface to the deep? With every expedition, new questions emerge. Some scientists believe the twilight zone could be the key to understanding climate change, as it locks away vast amounts of carbon. Others warn that deep-sea fishing and mining could threaten this unknown ecosystem before we even understand it. The twilight zone reminds us that even in the age of satellites and submarines, the ocean keeps its greatest wonders and its greatest mysteries hidden just out of reach. How much do we still have to learn about the world beneath the waves? The answer lies in the darkness waiting. The upsweep, the Pacific's unexplained voice. Imagine a sound so strange, so powerful, that it travels across an entire ocean, yet no one can say for sure what causes it. This is the mystery of the upsweep, an eerie, haunting noise first detected in 1991 by underwater microphones deep in the Pacific. Its signature is unmistakable, a series of long rising tones, almost musical, echoing up from the abyss. And every year as autumn turns to spring, the upsweep returns, repeating its ghostly song for anyone listening in the deep. Oceanographers have mapped the sound's origin to somewhere near the Pacific's volcanic arcs, but there's no single source. The upsweep seems to drift, sometimes growing stronger, sometimes fading almost to silence. No ship, no whale, no earthquake has ever been proven to match its pattern. Some scientists suspect volcanic activity, a kind of underwater song from shifting tectonic plates, or the rush of superheated water through cracks in the ocean floor. Others point to the possibility of moving magma or collapsing lava tubes as a possible source. Yet, despite years of research and speculation, the upsweep remains uncategorized, a riddle wrapped in currents and pressure. It's not just the strangeness of the sound, but its persistence that fascinates researchers. For decades, most ocean noises have a source. Storms, marine mammals, ship engines, even icebergs grinding along the sea. But the upsweep is unique, no matching event, no creature, no clear explanation. Some have even suggested it could be an artifact of secret technology or something entirely unknown to science. To this day, the upsweep is a reminder that the world's oceans are filled with mysteries our instruments can hear, but our minds can't yet unravel. It broadcasts from the darkness year after year, as if some ancient intelligence is singing a message we're not meant to understand. What makes the upsweep? Until someone answers it, will remain the ocean's most haunting voice, calling out just beyond our grasp. The bloop, the ocean's giant whisper. In the summer of 1997, a sound unlike any other was recorded far beneath the waves off the southern coast of South America. It started deep, rumbling low, then rose swiftly in pitch so loud it was picked up by hydrophones over 5,000 kilometers apart. Scientists dubbed it the bloop. For a brief moment, it seemed the deep ocean was roaring back at us. The world's imagination caught fire. Could the bloop be the cry of an undiscovered giant creature, perhaps a living leviathan, or something even stranger? Theories rippled through the public: a prehistoric beast, a monster from the darkest trench, or proof of the stories told in sailors' bars and pulp novels. The sound's frequency and pattern didn't match any known whale sub or seismic event, and its power dwarfed anything produced by the largest marine animals ever recorded. But the truth, as often happens in the deep, was more complex and still mysterious. After years of speculation, scientists began to piece together an answer. The source of the bloop, it turned out, was likely natural: the cracking and shifting of Antarctic ice as it fractured and slid into the ocean. The sound waves created by enormous blocks of ice grinding together and breaking apart can travel vast distances underwater. The bloop in this telling was the planet's own thunder, an icequake, not a monster. Yet, the bloop's legend refuses to die. Its power, volume, and the very fact that such a sound could go unnoticed by humanity until the late 20th century is a reminder of how little we know about the ocean's depths. The truth may be out there: giant creatures, geological marvels, or mysteries still waiting for a name. For now, the bloop is an echo, proof that the sea keeps stories only the brave or the curious ever try to hear. In every unexplained sound, we hear the possibility that something vast and unknown still moves beneath the waves. The Milky Sea, nighttime glows in living light, Imagine sailing into a patch of ocean on a moonless night and seeing the water ahead begin to glow a ghostly blue-white radiance, so bright you can read by it, stretching for miles in every direction. This is the mystery of the Milky Sea, a rare and haunting phenomenon that has startled sailors for centuries. Glowing waves, shining horizons, ships leaving luminous trails, the effect is surreal, like drifting through a living liquid cloud. First reported in the 19th century, but described in ancient seafarer tales, the Milky Sea has been sighted dozens of times in the Indian Ocean, near Indonesia and the Arabian Sea. Modern science has tried to explain it, but for years the cause remained elusive. Was it the result of strange minerals, plankton, or something even stranger lurking just out of sight? The answer, it turns out, is both ordinary and extraordinary. The Milky Sea is created by billions, maybe trillions of bioluminescent bacteria, working in harmony to produce light. These microscopic organisms, usually living on the surfaces of algae, can, under just the right conditions, coordinate a dazzling display. When disturbed by waves or ships, their glow intensifies, illuminating the ocean for hours or even days. Satellite imagery has captured vast glowing patches, some covering areas larger than entire countries. But the real wonder is how and why these bacteria decide to glow all at once. Scientists are still unraveling the puzzle. Some believe it's a defense mechanism, a signal to larger creatures that predators are nearby. Others see it as a kind of bacterial communication, a phenomenon that blurs the line between the living and the environment itself. The Milky Sea remains one of nature's grandest spectacles and biggest question marks. For those lucky enough to witness it, the memory is unforgettable. A vision of the ocean transformed, if only for a night, into something magical and unexplained. And as researchers continue to study this living light, we're reminded that the sea's mysteries are not just hidden in its depths, but sometimes shining right on its surface, inviting us to wonder why they happen at all. The deadly brine pools, lakes of poison in the sea. Far beneath the ocean's surface, where sunlight never reaches, lie pools of water that seem to break the laws of nature. They shimmer like underwater lakes, separated from the surrounding sea by a visible line, and anything that enters these pools, fish, crabs, even unlucky octopuses, dies within minutes. These are brine pools, sometimes called the jacuzzi of despair, and they are some of the strangest and deadliest places in the deep. Brine pools form where super salty water left behind by ancient seas seeps up from the sea floor. This water is so dense that it doesn't mix with the ocean above it. Instead, it creates a sunken lake complete with shorelines, waves, and currents. Some brine pools, like those discovered in the Gulf of Mexico and the Red Sea, are hundreds of feet across. They are filled with toxic chemicals such as methane and hydrogen sulfide. When creatures wander into these lakes within the sea, they are quickly overcome, stunned, and then preserved by the brine's lethal embrace. But where life seems impossible, nature always surprises us. Around the edges of these pools, bizarre communities thrive, tube worms, mussels, and bacteria that survive on the toxic soup. Some scientists believe that these extreme environments could offer clues about life on other planets, or even how life on Earth began. The conditions inside a brine pool are so harsh, and yet evolution finds a way. Still, mysteries remain. How do these pools form and change? Why do some brine pools suddenly expand or vanish? Recent discoveries in the Red Sea revealed new brine pools in 2022, instantly stunning to death any animal that strays in. Even advanced submersibles have suffered corrosion from the potent mix. The brine pools remind us that the ocean's dangers are not always visible from the surface. Sometimes they hide in the quietest places, waiting. Each brine pool is a forbidden lake, a natural barrier, and a living laboratory. As we send more robots and explorers into the deep, what other toxic secrets will we uncover? And could these lethal lakes hold the key to life's greatest riddles or its end? The Golden Orb, the Alaskan Enigma. In the cold, dark waters off the coast of Alaska, a team of deep-sea explorers made a discovery that even the most seasoned scientists struggled to explain. Using a remotely operated vehicle nearly 2 miles below the surface, they found a perfectly round golden orb attached to a rock, smooth, metallic, and about the size of a grapefruit. It glowed gently under the sub's lights, utterly out of place in the barren landscape of mud and scattered bones. At first glance, the orb looked artificial, almost like a discarded relic or the egg of some alien creature. When the robotic arm gently poked it, the orb flexed, showing itself to be soft and fragile, yet completely unlike any jelly shell or sponge known to science. The team was baffled. Was it the egg case of an undiscovered animal, the remains of a bizarre sponge, or something entirely new? The orb was collected and sent to laboratories for analysis. Under the microscope, its outer layer was smooth and thin, but its internal structure remains a mystery. DNA testing did not match any known species. Some experts theorize it could belong to a new family of deep-sea invertebrates, while others suggest it might be an entirely new type of life. The discovery captured headlines around the world and set the scientific community abuzz with speculation. Some even joked that it was a message in a bottle from the deep, or a warning from a world we have only begun to explore. For now, its origin and purpose remain unsolved. In the vast darkness of the deep sea, the golden orb is a beacon, a sign that Earth still holds wonders that defy explanation. What creature laid this orb, or what process formed it? Is it a one-time fluke, or are there thousands waiting to be found hidden in the cold, silent abyss? Sometimes the ocean answers our questions with another riddle, one that shines just out of reach. The volcano nursery, skate eggs, and undersea fire. In the unforgiving deep where volcanic heat bubbles up from the seafloor, scientists discovered a nursery like no other. It was in the cold darkness off the Galapagos Islands at the edge of an underwater volcano that explorers came upon hundreds of curious cases, soft leathery pouches anchored to rocks swaying in the hot current. Inside each was a fragile life, waiting to hatch the egg of a Pacific white skate, a deep-sea cousin of rays and sharks. Finding eggs at such depths was a shock. Even more astonishing was their location. These volcanoes spew mineral-rich, superheated water that would kill most sea creatures. But for the skate embryos, the warmth may be a gift helping them develop faster, in a place where cold would normally slow growth to a crawl. In the deep ocean where temperatures hover just above freezing, a patch of volcanic heat becomes a rare oasis. Researchers believe this is the first time a deep-sea fish has been observed using hydrothermal vents as a nursery. The eggs take years to hatch, and the volcano's warmth could mean the difference between survival and failure. Some scientists now wonder if other mysterious marine animals might use similar strategies, laying their eggs where fire meets water, hidden from predators by the very dangers that keep humans away. Yet, mysteries linger. Why only certain species? How do the parent skates find these volcanic hotspots, and how many other nurseries are out there still undiscovered? If life can thrive and even begin on the edge of an undersea volcano, what else might be possible in the ocean's most extreme environments? The volcano nursery reminds us that deep below the waves, survival isn't just about brute strength or speed, it's about adaptation and opportunity. Where others see danger, some creatures find home. And every time we peer into the fiery shadows of the sea, we're reminded the greatest discoveries often lie just out of sight at the edge of what we believe is possible. The hydrothermal vents, alien worlds beneath the waves. Imagine a place where sunlight never shines, and yet life thrives in riotous abundance. On the pitch-black floor of the world's deepest oceans, cracks in the Earth's crust, release jets of boiling mineral-rich water, hydrothermal vents. Here, in towering chimneys called black smokers, superheated fluids burst out with the force of volcanoes. The water is so hot it could melt lead laced with chemicals that would poison nearly any surface creature. Yet this is one of the most vibrant oases on the planet. The first hydrothermal vents were discovered in 1977, and what scientists found changed our understanding of life itself. Instead of plants and algae using sunlight for energy, entire communities here live off chemosynthesis using chemicals like hydrogen sulfide to fuel life. Giant tube worms, some taller than a person, cluster around the vents, their blood-red plumes waving in the current. Blind shrimp, ghostly white crabs, and strange clams all thrive in this alien world, surviving temperatures that swing from freezing to nearly boiling in seconds. The existence of hydrothermal vent ecosystems shattered the old idea that sunlight was essential for life. If these bizarre animals could survive and even flourish around deep-sea volcanoes, could life exist in other hostile places even beyond Earth? Some scientists now believe hydrothermal vents on Jupiter's moon Europa or Saturn's Enceladus might shelter their own alien organisms. But mysteries remain. No one knows how long these ecosystems can endure or how vent animals colonize new sites when old vents go dark. Each new expedition finds unfamiliar species pushing the boundaries of what life can be. The vents are also fragile, vulnerable to deep-sea mining and climate change, their future uncertain. Hydrothermal vents are a reminder that our planet's greatest marvels often lie in places we least expect. In the darkness where fire and water meet, life has found a way to bloom. And as we explore these hidden worlds, we're forced to ask if life can exist here. What else on Earth or beyond awaits discovery in the places we cannot yet see? The Clarion-Clipperton Zone, the ocean's untouched kingdom. Deep in the central Pacific, far from any continent, stretches a region as vast as Europe, the Clarion-Clipperton Zone. Its seafloor is littered with dark potato-sized nodules rich in rare metals, manganese, nickel, cobalt, and copper. For decades, this kingdom has drawn the attention of mining companies and governments hungry for resources to power the world's technology. But what else lies beneath its endless plains? Until recently, the Clarion-Clipperton Zone was almost entirely unexplored. With robotic submersibles and deep-diving cameras, scientists have discovered a hidden world teeming with strange life. Pale blind octopuses crawl across the mud. Delicate sea cucumbers, glass sponges, and rare worms drift and feed. Some species here have never been found anywhere else, adapted perfectly to an environment untouched by light, warmth, or time. But the true mystery is how little we know. Each new dive uncovers creatures so odd they seem almost extraterrestrial. Some resemble feathery corals or living snowflakes. Others move with the slow patience of centuries. The ecosystem here is balanced on a knife's edge. Creatures depend on each other and the nodules themselves. Some even use them as homes or places to lay eggs. As deep-sea mining threatens to begin, questions multiply. How will removing the nodules disrupt this fragile network? Could entire species vanish before we even know they exist? Is it possible that unknown forms of life, bacteria, fungi, or even complex animals hide in the mud waiting to be discovered? The Clarion-Clipperton Zone is a living library, a time capsule sealed by darkness and pressure. Its secrets challenge our assumptions about where life can flourish. The urge to extract its minerals is strong, but the cost may be higher than we can imagine. Every expedition reminds us that, for all our technology, the ocean's greatest kingdom is still mostly a blank space on our maps, a mystery begging for respect, caution, and awe. The mystery of the seamounts, undersea mountains, and hidden worlds. Scattered across the ocean floor are mountains few people have ever seen. Hundreds of thousands of seamounts rising from the abyss, some taller than the Alps, most without names. These submerged peaks formed by ancient volcanoes create islands of life in the deep isolated oases in a desert of darkness. Each seamount is a world unto itself. Currents swirl around their slopes, bringing up nutrients and attracting all manner of creatures, corals, sponges, swarms of fish, and even sharks. Scientists have discovered unique species found nowhere else, from glow-in-the-dark squid to bizarre long-legged crabs. But for every seamount mapped and studied, dozens more remain untouched and unexplored, hidden beneath miles of water. Some of the most mysterious are found off the coast of Central America, in places like the Guatemalan Basin, where underwater ridges and peaks harbor entire ecosystems. Here, vents and fissures may release chemicals or gases, creating conditions that mimic the environments of hydrothermal vents or brine pools. Divers have reported strange phenomena, sudden changes in temperature, odd echoing noises, and on rare occasions, brief flashes of unexplained light. How many species live and die on these isolated mountains, never crossing paths with the outside world? What secrets are locked in the sediments, ancient fossils, unknown minerals, or even evidence of vanished civilizations, now drowned by the rising sea? Some researchers wonder if seamounts act as stepping stones for species migration, allowing life to leapfrog across the vastness of the ocean over millions of years. Despite advances in mapping technology, less than a quarter of the world's seamounts have been explored. The rest are blank spots on the map, reminders of how little we know about our own planet. For explorers and scientists, each new summit is a chance to discover something astonishing, proof that the ocean's greatest mysteries are not always hidden in the deepest trenches, but sometimes perched on a peak just out of reach. What wonders or dangers might still lie waiting on the slopes of these sunken mountains? The Yonaguni Monument, ruins or nature's masterpiece. Just off the coast of Yonaguni, Japan's southernmost island, lies a vast angular structure that has puzzled divers and scientists for decades. Submerged in crystal-clear water, this monument is a series of massive stone terraces, sharp-edged steps, and broad flat platforms, so precise and geometric that some say it must be the work of ancient hands. Is this the lost city of a forgotten civilization, or a wonder crafted solely by the ocean's slow, relentless forces? The Yonaguni Monument was first brought to the world's attention in the 1980s when local divers discovered what looked like a giant stone pyramid rising from the sea floor. The site covers an area larger than a football field, with stairways, ramps, and walls that seem almost too straight to be natural. Some explorers have even claimed to find carvings in what might be massive stone faces. For those who believe the monument is man-made, the theories are wild and intriguing. Could this be the remains of an ancient city lost to a prehistoric flood? Was Yonaguni part of the legendary continent of Mu, a Pacific Atlantis said to have sunk beneath the waves? Thousands of years ago, archaeologists and geologists, however, are divided. Many point out that the region is rich in sandstone that naturally fractures along straight lines. Earthquakes and underwater currents could over millennia have sculpted the monument's uncanny shapes without human help. Still, some evidence refuses to fit neatly into either explanation. At certain angles, parts of the structure look undeniably artificial. The mystery deepens with each dive as currents shift sand and new details are revealed or concealed. Underwater explorers search for artifacts, pottery, or tools that might settle the debate once and for all. For now, the Yonaguni Monument remains a riddle, one that blurs the line between archaeology and geology, legend and fact. Is it a relic of a lost civilization, or a testament to the creative power of the Earth itself? Until the ocean surrenders more of its secrets, Yonaguni's terraces will stand in silent testimony to the mysteries hidden beneath the waves, inviting new generations to dive deeper and keep asking questions. The ocean's secrets are endless, its mysteries deeper than any trench and older than any legend. As we surface from this journey, one thing is certain: for every answer found in the darkness, 100 more questions wait just beyond the next wave. What other marvels remain hidden in the silence below? What stories are waiting for a voice or a brave explorer to bring them into the light? Maybe the greatest wonder of all is that we are still searching, still listening, still daring to dream about the unknown. The deep sea keeps its secrets well, but curiosity is relentless. The next discovery could change everything, or remind us how small we are in the vast blue world. So, what do you believe lies beneath? Which mystery stirs your imagination most? Share your thoughts. Keep exploring, and remember, the adventure never truly ends as long as there are questions waiting in the deep.